All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Well, folks, it's that time of the week, my weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. And this is a big weekend in the NFL. As we're talking about, it's the final weekend of the regular season. And there are certain things we know, and there are certain things that we've yet to find out. Now, we know on the AFC side that the Baltimore Ravens have clinched home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. The Miami Dolphins are currently the 2 seed. However, they could drop down if they lose to the Buffalo Bills on Sunday night, as a win by the Bills would give them the AFC East. But on the flip side, if Buffalo loses that game, Buffalo could actually be watching the postseason from home. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs are locked into their third slot. The winner of the AFC South is going to be the 4 seed, but who is it going to be? Is it going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Indianapolis Colts, and Houston Texans? All three of these teams come into play this weekend with a record of 9-7. The Cleveland Browns are locked into that fifth slot. And again, the last two wild card spots could come down to either Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Houston, Buffalo, or the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's still a lot to be decided on the AFC side. Now, on the NFC side, what do we know? San Francisco has clinched home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. The 2 seed, very interesting here because it could either be the Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions, or Philadelphia Eagles, depending on how the games play out. The NFC South winner is going to be locked into that number 4 seed. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be the Bucks, the Atlanta Falcons, or the New Orleans Saints? Now, whoever does not win the NFC East, whether it's the Dallas Cowboys or Philadelphia Eagles, they will be the 5th seed. The Los Angeles Rams are locked into the 6th seed, and for that final wild card spot in the NFC, a lot of teams are still alive. You've got the Green Bay Packers, Seattle Seahawks, New Orleans Saints, and even the Minnesota Vikings and Atlanta Falcons. All of these teams are still alive for a postseason berth. We've got two good games on tap for tomorrow, as well as 14 slated for Sunday. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 18 in this NFL season. Now, tomorrow it's going to be the 9-7 Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to take on the 13-3 Baltimore Ravens. And of course, when you think about the Steelers and you think about the Ravens, there's no love lost between these teams, as they are truly the Hatfields and McCoys of the National Football League. But we just saw Baltimore take care of their business last week against the Miami Dolphins, and in the process, they just wrapped up home field advantage throughout. You can expect John Harbaugh to rest a lot of his key players, which includes more than likely the MVP of the NFL this season in Lamar Jackson, which will make things a little bit easier for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Pittsburgh's had the defense all season long, but all of a sudden, in the last couple of weeks, with backup quarterback Mason Rudolph at quarterback, this offense has looked a lot better. I like the way that the Steelers are running the football, the combo of Najee Harris and Jalen Warren to open up things for this passing game. And I think this Steelers team, and they're hungry, they will take advantage of playing the Ravens backups tomorrow. And I'm going to take Pittsburgh on the road by the score of 23-17. Now you've got the 9-7 Houston Texans traveling to take on the 9-7 Indianapolis Colts. And I think, both of these teams should be under the category of feel good stories. You look at the Texans, they were picking second in the NFL draft last year, while the Colts were picking fourth. The Colts have primarily done it all season long without Anthony Richardson, the quarterback who they took fourth overall. And then, of course, the Texans have had a slew of injuries, but nonetheless, rookie quarterback CJ Stroud has shown that he's the real deal, and he does have the Texans potentially on the cusp of getting to the postseason. But it won't be easy because go back to earlier this season. This Colts team went to Houston and punched them in the mouth, plain and simple. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Texans are going to respond to that. You got two teams right here, two young teams that are playing very loose, very confident, and they definitely want to put the cherry on top of a turnaround season, respectively, with a trip to the playoffs. Who gets it done tomorrow? Houston is a 1.5 point favorite on the road. And I'm going to take CJ Stroud and company by the score of 23-22. Now, moving ahead to Sunday, you've got the 11-5 Cleveland Browns traveling to take on the 8-8 Cincinnati Bengals. And for, of course, the Cincinnati, their playoff hopes are dashed. They were really dashed once Joe Burrow was lost for that wrist injury. So now the Browns, pardon me, the Bengals rather, they're just trying to finish out their season on a positive note. For the Browns, they know that they're playoff bound. They know that they're locked into that fifth seed, and I do expect them to rest a lot of their key players, which includes veteran quarterback Joe Flacco. And I think Cincinnati takes advantage of that. I'm going to take the Bengals by the score of 24-17. Then you're going to have the 11-5 Detroit Lions hosting the 7-9 Minnesota Vikings. And for Detroit, it was a heartbreaking loss last Saturday night on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. The Lions need to put that behind them because a win with a Cowboys loss and an Eagles loss would give the Lions the 2 seed in the NFC. So there's still plenty to play for there. For the Vikings, so many issues at quarterback ever since Kirk Cousins was lost for the season with the injury. It's been a revolving door for Kevin O'Connell at that position. That is a big reason why Minnesota is 7-9. I don't see them getting their eighth win of the season come Sunday. Thus, I'm going to take Detroit at home by the score of 24-13. Now in Nashville, you got the 5-11 Titans hosting the 9-7 Jaguars. And for Jacksonville, they come into this contest favored by 4. But as they are looking to win the AFC South with a win, they've got to try to go out there and do it sans quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Now, CJ Beathard filled in admirably for the Jags last week, and I think they need another dose of what they got from this team as a whole. The running of Travis Etienne, as well as this defense flying around the football. They shut out the Carolina Panthers last week, and I think they're going to need another dose of that Sunday. I don't see the Jaguars shutting out the Titans come Sunday, but I do see them putting on the clamps on this offense. Could possibly be the last game for future Hall of Fame running back Derrick Henry with the Titans, and I expect to see him get a big dose of the football come Sunday. Nonetheless, I'm going to take Jacksonville on the road in this one by the score of 20-13. Now, it could be the end of an era come Sunday afternoon as you got the 4-12 New England Patriots hosting the 6-10 New York Jets. There are many out there who expect this to be Bill Belichick's final game as the head coach of the Patriots. And if it truly is, it's been one heck of a ride for this future Hall of Fame head coach since the year 2000 when he joined New England as their head coach. Nonetheless, the Patriots are clearly looking to finish on a positive note, and they're also looking to keep their domination going over the New York Jets. For the Jets, this season cannot end quick enough because it never really got started. And when you factor in 3 or 4 plays into the season, you lose veteran quarterback Aaron Rodgers with the Achilles injury. Nonetheless, the Jets are trying to get to the finish line on a positive note and build on something into the offseason. But I don't see the Patriots possibly sending Bill Belichick out as a loser. Thus, I'm going to take New England by the score of 20-16. Now, a big one in the NFC South is you've got the 7-9 Atlanta Falcons traveling to the Superdome to take on the 8-8 New Orleans Saints. And when you think about Falcons Saints, there is no love lost between these longtime rivals, whether it was the NFC West or, of course, now the NFC South. Plenty on the line here as the winner of this contest could possibly win the division, while the loser is more than likely out of the postseason. For the Saints, it's been an underachieving season since the word go, as their offense has been so inconsistent. I look at New Orleans defense. What can they do against this Atlanta offense that has struggled times this season, especially at the quarterback position? I think the Saints defense and their running game will be the difference in this one. And I'm going to take New Orleans at home by the score of 24-20. Now, the other part of the equation in the NFC South, as you have the 8-8 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Charlotte to take on the 2-14 Carolina Panthers. For Tampa Bay, they had an opportunity at home last week to wrap up the NFC South, but they got punched in the mouth courtesy of the New Orleans Saints. It was a sloppy game for Baker Mayfield to get off to the start, and I think both Baker and this Bucks offense know the importance of this contest. They want to get off to a quicker start. You don't want to give a two-win team like Carolina life. The turnover bugaboo has really hurt this Panthers offense all season long, along with their inability to protect rookie quarterback Bryce Young. Now, the Panthers, they're trying to finish out on a positive note. They know that they're going to get a new head coach coming in next season, but I think these Bucks want to get back on track. They want to get to the postseason, and they want to put that bad taste of last week's loss out of their mouths. And I think they take care of their business on Sunday. I'm going to take the Bucks on the road by the score of 27-17. Now at Lambeau, you've got the 8-8 Green Bay Packers hosting the 7-9 Chicago Bears. And after the slow start, Chicago has really come on. They're not going to make the postseason, but there's potential for this team heading into the 2024 season. On the flip side for the Packers, a win and you're in. And this is something right here, all of the ups and downs that you've gone through in year one with Jordan Love as your quarterback and a lot of youth on this team, the injuries as well. And Green Bay could be postseason bound. Now, it won't be easy because this Bears team has played very good coming down the stretch. Defensively, they are flying around the football. Excuse me, for head coach Matt Eberflus, while you're starting to see the chemistry develop between quarterback Justin Fields and wide receiver DJ Moore. But I think being so close to the finish line, I think the Packers take care of their business. I'm going to take Green Bay at home by the score of 30-24. Now, two teams that are trying to finish the season on a positive note. You've got the 8-8 Denver Broncos traveling to take on the 7-9 Las Vegas Raiders. And of course, for the Broncos, their season got started on the wrong foot with a surprise loss at home in week number one against the Raiders. A lot has changed for the Broncos since then. Of course, veteran quarterback Russell Wilson has been put on the bench. And as this is year one for Sean Payton as the head coach in Denver, he's trying to get a feel as far as like what guys are going to be there long term and what guys fit his system. On the flip side, for the Raiders, you have a guy in Antonio Pierce that is coaching for a job. He's trying to become the full-time head coach after he became the interim head coach midway through the season, replacing the departed Josh McDaniels. This team will go through a wall for Antonio Pierce, and I think that is evident with the effort that we've seen the Raiders give over the second half of the season. I don't know if Antonio Pierce will be hired full-time by Mark Davis, but nonetheless, he definitely has to be in the running, and I think he adds to that resume come Sunday afternoon with a 24-17 win. Now at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, you've got the 5-11 New York Giants hosting the 11-5 Philadelphia Eagles. And about 6 weeks ago, I didn't think that we'd be here talking about the Philadelphia Eagles needing to try to find a way to get on track. The Eagles were coasting, if you will, at 10-1. And since then, they've dropped 4 out of their last 5. The Eagles have not played good all season long, and it has started to catch up to them. And their only win over their last 5 games was over these Giants, a very sloppy game that New York had more than enough opportunities to win. Now, the Giants, of course, this season got away from them from the word go. So many key injuries, including that of quarterback Daniel Jones. I'm looking at this Giants team. They want to finish on a positive note. Quarterback Tyrod Taylor knows that he's probably not going to be there next season in New York, but still, this is another opportunity for him to audition for another backup job, potentially around the National Football League. Could be the final game in a Giants uniform for several veteran players. Wide receiver Sterling Shepard, along with veteran running back Saquon Barkley. The Giants want to finish on a positive note. The Eagles need to find their swagger. And I think after last week, I'm not giving up on the Eagles, but I'm like, you know what? They've never had the ability to put the Cardinals away. I know that they had some injuries in that game themselves, but nonetheless, Philly at this point, it's put up or shut up time, and I don't think they have enough to get it done. I know they're favored by 6 on the road this Sunday afternoon, but I'm going to take the Giants with the upset by the score of 24-23. Now, in the desert, you've got the 4-12 Arizona Cardinals hosting the 8-8 Seattle Seahawks, and for Seattle, after losing at home to Pittsburgh last week, they need this win. They also need some help to get into the postseason, but you're not going to help your case if you lose. Now, the Cardinals, they're not just playing spoiler right now. They're looking and building towards next season. This team has been close all season long. And now, since they got Kyler Murray back at quarterback, it's starting to all come together for this offense in the first year under head coach Jonathan Gannon. I like the way that the Cardinals are playing. At this point of the season, you got to throw the records out of the windows because teams are losing records. The guys are playing for jobs. They want to finish on a positive note. And I think Arizona does that on Sunday. I'm going to take the Birds at home by the score of 27-24. Now in Inglewood, you're going to have the 5-11 Los Angeles Chargers taking on the 10-6 Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City, like I said, they wrapped up the AFC West last week. Also, they're locked into that 3 spot. You can expect the likes of Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, excuse me, Chris Jones and other key players from this Chiefs team not to play on Sunday. And for the Chargers, they got to try to find a way to go out there and take advantage of it. Even with all that said, I don't believe in this Chargers team as it's been a bad season all along. And I'm going to take the Chiefs backups in this one. I'm going to take Kansas City by the score of 20-17. Now in Santa Clara, a battle of teams that are going to have the backups out there. You got Carson Wentz at quarterback, of course, a former first-round pick, second overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, of course, Sam Darnold, former first round pick, second overall to the New York Jets. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the 49ers. Both of these teams are locked into their respective seeds for the postseason. So you can expect a lot of big time players, such as Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and others, to not be suited up for this one. But I'm still going to take San Francisco by the score of 23-17. Now in Maryland at FedEx Field, you've got the 4-12 Washington Commanders hosting the 11-5 Dallas Cowboys. More than likely, this is going to be Ron Rivera's last game as the head coach of the Commanders, as I simply don't see a scenario where he returns for 2024. The Cowboys got a breath of fresh air last week. Of course, the controversial win against the Detroit Lions, but then the shocking loss by the Eagles to the Arizona Cardinals has opened the door for the Dallas Cowboys to go out there and win the NFC East and also be the 2 seed in the postseason. Dallas is favored by 13 points in this one. Dallas has struggled on the road this season. They're just 3-5. But I like this Dallas pass rush led by Micah Parsons going up against a quarterback in Sam Howell, who has been sacked so much this season. He holds the ball too long and he plays behind a bad offensive line. That's a recipe for disaster. Dallas is favored by 13 in this game. I'm going to take the Cowboys in the over by the score of 37-17. And finally, on Sunday night, the AFC East is on the line as you got the 10-6 Buffalo Bills rolling into town to take on the 11-5 Miami Dolphins. And a month ago, who thought that we'd be here with the Buffalo Bills? But this team has gotten back on track. They've got their confidence and they've got their swagger. And this is the time of the season when you want to be clicking on all cylinders. For Miami, it's the same old song. They play a good team and they lose. But not only did they lose to a bad team last week in the Baltimore Ravens, they gave up 56 big ones. The Dolphins have so many injuries right now. And for Mike McDaniel, he's got to try to find a way to get this ship righted. I think first things first, you've got to be able to run the football with Devin Achane to try to take some of this pressure off of Tua, Tyreek, and this passing game. And then defensively, no Bradley Chubb, no Jalen Phillips. You got to try to find a way to go out there and get after Bills quarterback Josh Allen and disrupt the timing of this offense. Now, earlier this season, Miami made the trip to Western New York, and they got throttled by these same Bills. I guarantee you, it's in the back of the minds of both of these head coaches and both of these teams. You look at Miami; they are the slight underdog at home. Buffalo holds a 2.5 point favorite in this one, but I'm going to take the Dolphins at home to win the AFC East by the score of 24-23. So, folks, those are my picks for the final weekend of the regular season in the National Football League. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365 that you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.